One day, your child will ask you to play for the last time. And the strange part is, you probably won't even notice it happening. It won't feel important. You might be tired, busy, looking at your phone for just a second, and then somehow, months later, you realize they stopped asking. Tonight, we're talking about the tiny moments parents think are ordinary, but children quietly build their entire emotional world around. I'm Dr. Knit, and this one might change the way you hear the words, "Come play with me." A lot of parents think children ask to play because they're bored, but most of the time, they're not actually asking for the game. They're asking for you. That's the part adults miss. A child can play with toys alone for hours sometimes, but when they walk into the kitchen holding a stuffed dinosaur and say, "Daddy, look!" what they're really checking is something much deeper. Can I still reach you? Psychologists sometimes call this emotional availability. Kids constantly test it in tiny ways, not because they're manipulative, because their nervous system is still learning whether connection feels safe and stable. And honestly, the requests usually come at the worst times, when you're exhausted, working, thinking about bills, trying to breathe for 5 seconds. So parents say things like, "Later, not now, maybe tomorrow," which sounds harmless, and sometimes it is. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Children don't measure love the way adults do. Adults measure love by sacrifice, by providing, by worrying. Kids measure it by attention, especially undivided attention. A 10-minute pillow fight can emotionally outweigh an expensive vacation they barely remember. One of the saddest things about parenting is that childhood ends gradually, but parenting moments often end suddenly. There's usually no warning, no final announcement. Your child doesn't walk up and say, "Hey, this is the last time I'm going to ask you to build Lego with me." It just disappears quietly. And weirdly, children stop asking long before parents stop loving them. That's important because many parents assume, "My kid knows I love them." They probably do, but emotional closeness isn't built from knowledge alone. It's built from repeated experiences, tiny moments that teach a child over and over, "When I reach for someone, they respond." And when that response disappears too often, kids adapt. That adaptation is what breaks people later in life sometimes. Not dramatic trauma, just years of learning not to interrupt adults, not to ask twice, not to need too much. You can actually see it happen. Some children slowly stop showing excitement around their parents because they've unconsciously learned excitement won't be shared. That's heavy, because no parent usually intends that. Most are simply overwhelmed humans trying to survive adulthood. Here's something surprisingly true. For children, play is not a break from learning. Play is the learning. Adults separate life into categories: work, learning, chores, relationships. Kids don't. When a child says, "Pretend this couch is lava," their brain is doing emotional processing, creativity training, social experimentation, even stress regulation all at once. But there's another layer most people never think about. During play, children reveal parts of themselves they can't explain directly. A child who suddenly makes every toy fight bad guys may be processing fear. A child constantly wanting to win may be struggling with control or insecurity. A child begging you to watch every tiny thing they do might not be seeking praise, they might be seeking emotional visibility. Do you see me? That's the hidden question under a shocking amount of childhood behavior. And parents miss it because adults listen mainly to words. Kids communicate emotionally through repetition, imagination, interruptions, random questions at bedtime, and yes, through asking you to play the same game for the 17th time. Phones changed parenting in a way we still don't fully understand yet. Not because parents suddenly became bad people, but because children compete terribly against infinite stimulation. Think about it from a child's perspective for a second. They don't understand emails, algorithms, notifications. They just see your face light up for something else while they're talking. And over time, children notice where attention goes. Researchers have found that even brief distracted interactions can change how connected children feel during conversations. Not because every distraction is harmful, that would be unrealistic, but because kids are extremely sensitive to emotional presence. You can physically sit next to a child while emotionally feeling 1,000 miles away, and children feel that distance immediately. Sometimes parents say, "But I'm home every day." And honestly, physical proximity is not the same thing as emotional presence. Some children grow up in very loving homes, but still feel strangely unseen because interactions became functional instead of connected. Brush your teeth, do homework, hurry up. The relationship slowly becomes management instead of shared experience. Most parents think children remember the big memories, birthdays, trips, expensive gifts. But when adults describe childhood in therapy years later, it's usually weirdly small moments. Sitting on the kitchen counter while someone cooked, a parent laughing uncontrollably during a made-up game, falling asleep on the couch while hearing voices in another room. Children store emotional atmosphere more than events. That's why a simple routine can become a lifelong memory if it carried warmth and attention. And honestly, this should relieve some pressure. Good parenting is usually less cinematic than people imagine. Children do not need perfect parents constantly entertaining them. That's impossible. They need enough moments where they genuinely feel emotionally welcomed. There's actually a psychological concept called good enough parenting. Not flawless, not endlessly patient, just emotionally responsive, often enough that the child feels secure overall. That matters because guilt destroys a lot of parents unnecessarily. Missing a moment won't ruin your child. Repeated emotional absence might. Those are very different things. Sometimes the reason parents struggle to play has nothing to do with the child. It's because adulthood slowly disconnects people from their own sense of play first. Many adults feel awkward pretending. Silly voices feel embarrassing. Imagination feels exhausting. And underneath that is something kind of sad. A lot of grown-ups were emotionally rushed through childhood themselves. So when their child says, "Sit on the floor with me," it unintentionally activates discomfort they don't fully understand. Some parents become irritated not because the child is annoying, but because vulnerability feels unfamiliar. Play requires presence, spontaneity, letting go of control for a moment. And adults spend most of life trying to maintain control. But children experience love differently when adults enter their world instead of constantly pulling children into the adult world. That's why even 15 fully present minutes can emotionally change the tone of an entire day for a child. There's a moment many parents experience that nobody warns them about. Your child asks less often to sit with you, less often to show you random drawings, less often to hold your hand in public. And at first, it almost feels convenient, easier, quieter. Then one day you walk past their room and realize they didn't need you this time. And healthy children are supposed to grow independent eventually. That part is beautiful. But what hurts is realizing how many moments looked temporary to them while looking ordinary to you. The bedtime story they wanted repeated every night, the stuffed animal voices, the "watch this" from the hallway. Those moments feel endless when you're exhausted inside them. Then suddenly, they're gone. And parents would give almost anything to hear, "Come play with me," one more time. The scary part is not that childhood ends. It's that while it's happening, most families don't realize they're living inside the days they'll miss forever. If you're watching this and feeling guilty, don't. Really. Children do not need perfect parents. They need moments of real connection that happen often enough to feel safe, loved, and remembered. Sometimes putting the phone down for 10 minutes changes more than another hour physically sitting in the same room. And maybe tonight, when you hear tiny footsteps or someone asking you to play one more game, you'll hear it a little differently. I'm Dr. Nit. Subscribe if you want more conversations like this, the kind that make parenting feel a little more human. And tell me in the comments, what's one tiny childhood moment you didn't realize would matter so much later?